Okay, so I've already assembled the dress. I have the sleeves connected. I did have just a little bit of an error on top of my shoulders. It was 2 inches too high, so my sleeve was too small to fit. So I shrunk it down and I cut off 2 inches and it fit just fine. I might, depending on, right now when I try it on, I might have to make the neck hole a little bit deeper, but that's not really a problem for me. That doesn't mess me up at all, so I'm not too worried about that. One thing I wanted to mention, because I did want to put a belt in my dress. I did mention this before with that gold twist trim. I definitely wanted to have like belt loops in the dress. So I found some gold, like pretty heavy duty thread. I don't know what the heck this was from. I pulled it off some vintage buttons in my, so you know, I just recycle all kinds of crap. But anyways, the string that I found was long enough just to make some simple belt loops, because my trim isn't really that thick at all. So what I did, if you're planning on doing this, I laid out my dress all straight, and I found where the dent where my torso is or my waist is. So you'll see it if you make yours. It should be somewhat noticeable. So what I did is I sewed it first, only because I hypothesized, guesstimate, that if I had tried to do this and then sew this in, it would have shifted somewhere inside, and then my serger would have caught it and I'd have to pick it out. So this way is a little bit longer, but it just really saves me frustration in the end. So I serged the whole dress down, and then I went back where my torso part was, and I picked out just to make a hole, and then I made a loop, like I tied a loop with the knot, and then I inserted it, and you know, and I put my hand under the dress just to pull it out a little bit. And then once I had the knot right at the edge of my fabric, then I did like a cross pinning just to keep this loop in place. So I pinned it like this, and then I sewed with I didn't use a zigzag, I used this stitch. Maybe some of you will have a stitch similar. I used, what is this? Which one did I use? Oh, I used G. No, I used D, and then I believe I went back afterwards and I did the G on the with the red turny thing right here, just to reinforce it. And I'm not gonna snip off the knot, because when I wear the dress and I pull on it, the knot is gonna keep it from going through, you know, the stitches. So the knot kind of keeps it in place and gives it like a reinforcement that it doesn't pop through the dress. So that's just one tip there. What else? So, okay, so in a moment, you're gonna see me with the dress on. This will be your personal fitting. I'm not gonna put on the mannequin, because if you're doing this on your own, first time, second time, third time, or whatever, you probably don't have a mannequin, and you really need to be able to do this on yourself. So let me show you. Okay, so I put the dress on. If you can see here, hold on. There's my little thing. But I mean, it's like, oh God, I'm sorry, my mirror's all freaking dirty. Yeah, the fit is perfect. Even with raising the shoulder line to correct the sleeve, it's not choking me. I mean, I like this, and then I'm gonna, you know, when I sew it, it's gonna be folded in about 1/2 inch. So even that, I'm very happy with the outcome of this neckline. I love how it is. The length is perfect too. And I will try using a narrow hem foot on one of my vintage machines to finish the bottom when I'm good and ready. But I mean, I love the color. Like, my room is so dark because it has nothing but yellow lights. Like right now in this video, it's not doing this color of the dress justice. It's really not. The sleeves come out a little bit longer, so I am going to hem those, and I'm pretty sure I know why. I didn't double check after I completed the whole sleeve, so I think when I did that hump and I kept adding those inches, it you know, it was doing that. So yeah, or I might even, you know what, and even then with my error, I don't think it it's wide enough to do the bell thing. So I'm gonna just end up, you know, trimming it and then doing, you know, turn it up in like a hem, like normal. So it's gonna look like the Pinterest picture, but I don't have a problem with it. Let me see what else. So yeah, I have no problem with this dress. It is fitting me absolutely perfect right now. If you have issues, like let's say if this was too big, you'd want to pinch it and maybe have a friend or you do a safety pin. Obviously I can't show you because one hand's holding my phone, but you would do that. But I mean, on me, this is it's absolutely perfect. Super excited. So I have my belt loops, and then with the trim, I do want to try and get like a shrinkable thing to finish the ends, because that twist trim it's gonna unravel and it's kind of hard to tame. I am gonna try something new, and I'm gonna try and find this in like the jewelry section of a craft store. And I do have a heat gun, so I'm gonna try that like shrinkable plastic thing to cap off the end of my trim. So hopefully that'll control it. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay. So I am 75% finished, 70% finished. I already hemmed my sleeve. I chopped off that extra, what was it, 4 inches, I think? Yeah, 4 inches. A little too long, and I didn't make it wide enough. I should have, instead of making the wrist 10 inches, I should have made it more like maybe 20 for the bell sleeve. But that's okay, you know. If I had really, really wanted it that bad, I would have done a mock-up on muslin first and then tried it out. But, you know, it's okay. I'm still super in love with this dress. So here's what's going on. I just have my belt on kind of sloppily, just so you all can see what I'm trying to do here. You did see the little clip I had earlier of me wearing it, trying it on. So here are my belt loops, and it matches perfectly with this fabric. So one thing about trims, when you go and buy it, see, they always give it to you and they wrap it the ends in Scotch tape, because it starts unraveling, right? So what I'm going to do to remedy that is I'm going to glue them together in place. I have to take off the Scotch tape, but when I get down to it, I'm going to kind of glue them with a fabric glue in place so they don't unravel. And then I'm going to try and find these little plastic casings in the jewelry section, and they shrink. You put them like on the ends of when you're doing necklaces and stuff, but you put them on the ends of your necklaces that unravel, like if you're using like a cloth piece of trim for the necklace, and you throw your heat gun at it. You shoot it with some heat. Don't literally throw your heat gun at it, but you shoot some heat at it, and then the plastic will shrink and it'll tighten around it, and that'll keep it from unraveling. So I'm just going to try and cap these off. Hopefully they sell clear ones at Michael's or Joann's, so I'm going to do that. Also, you may want to do this. I'm doing this. So I just have these kind of pinned with the safety pins right now, but I do want to have tassels on my dress on the ends of the belt. It does look a lot longer on this mannequin because this mannequin is way smaller than I am, but on me, when I put this belt on, it should end up, after I tie it, somewhere about way up here. So keep that in mind. So for the neckline, what we're going to do, I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I wasn't sure if I was going to do a facing or bias tape. So I think what will be best is to do a bias tape using scraps of this exact same fabric. Now, how do you do a bias tape? It's really easy. You don't have to purchase it. You're just going to, you're just going to get some fabric. I'm going to find the selvage, which is right here. The selvage is those little puncture marks. This is where it comes off the machine when they make this fabric. Okay, so you got to find the selvage, and then you're going to do diagonal cuts. So once you find the selvage, I'm using my grid here. Just kind of line it up so everything's symmetrical. And then with this, you're going to do strips. See how I'm doing this like across? You're going to cut strips with your scissors or your rotary cutter across. Try and do really long strips. And then after you do like one big long strip or combine 2 strips, They're gonna be really stretchy because when you cut stuff on the bias or at the diagonal of the weave of the fabric, it gives it a stretch. Even though this is already stretchy fabric, it'll give it even more stretch, so that way you don't have issues with when it's trying to lie flat. So once you have like your long, I'll explain this, your long piece of bias strip that you've cut from there, you want to measure this and then measure your bias strip to make sure that it's the right size. Sew off the ends like a big loop, right? So you're gonna have your loop, and then right sides together, you're gonna have, you know, your velvet to your velvet, and you're going to line it up and pin it all the way around. Then you're going to stitch it, flip it on the inside. Once you flip it on the inside, if it's looking a little bulky, like the corners here and the dips are not folding in as nicely as they can, what you should do is what's called clipping the curves, clipping notches, and that just gives room and flexibility for the bias tape to turn in and actually hug all these curves properly. So once you do that, then you're going to fold the bias tape in, and then you'll have the seam, and then just fold everything, the bias tape all the way in, so the stitch line is all around the top, and then this, just stitch it. I'm going to be doing like a zigzag, partial straight stitch. I have this, let me show you this, let me try and get the zoom. There we go, sorry. See how it's a couple stitches, and then there's like a peak, and then some stitches, and then there's a peak. So I'm gonna be doing that stitch up here. I used white thread only because that's what I had. I should have bought like a honey thread at the store, but I mean, it's not really that noticeable, so it doesn't bother me much. But if you're more of a perfectionist and you have more time than I did on this dress, then certainly get matching thread. It ups the level of professionalism vastly. Let me just get all of that. I still need to hem the bottom of my dress, but that's the least of my worries. So really all I gotta do now is put the bias tape on my neckline, hem the bottom, finish up my belt, and my dress is done, you guys. It looks very similar to the Pinterest photo. Let me kind of do a little do. And then, yeah. I mean, look at the way it's draping. I love it.